I tell you about.
Least of all us.
Yeah. So I'm joined tonight by my two brothers, Eric and Greg, and also our friend Brad is here. Hey Brad, how are
Hi.
you doing tonight?
Good.
Hello, friend.
You may
Brad.
remember Brad from such classics as Dragged into Turbo Lasers Episode 2.
And maybe 3.
I think that's yeah.
And a bunch of others.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Our last one, I think, was maybe about Blitzball that you
Hmm.
were a part of too. So
That was really your last podcast?
I think it might have been because we've been not doing stuff.
Oh.
We're trying to schedule an end of the year stream with a bunch of people. Not you, of course.
Never.
No.
But I mean, yeah, you could be
in
a
it.
part of it, but
It's with
trying to
people
get
from UK and Australia and Canada, and so it could be at a stupid time.
Well, universally, it'll always be at a bad time for at least somebody.
Yeah, when you have so many friends around the globe, it's just going to happen.
It's
Yeah.
usually bad for most people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, it is what it is. But the holidays are upon us.
They are soon upon us. I guess in relationship to that, I've not really done a whole lot hobby-wise since, well, really since the start of this entire month. It's been working on holiday cards. As I showed last week, I finished the card for the blog, and that's what's on screen now. So I accomplished that. That was the main thing that I knew I wanted to do this month, and I was successful. So I'm pleased.
So if people comment on the blog, will you send a print to them?
I mean,
We
they
probably would, yes. So far, I've sent out, I think, 39 cards.
I mean, if they post their address in the comments,
Along with their phone number and date of birth.
No, they would
thing-
have to send us an email.
guys, we should might as well post a short like Happy Holidays post on the blog with the picture.
Yeah, no, we need to do
Not
that.
everybody has Instagram.
No, last year we posted the holiday greeting on the 23rd, I believe. So that's tomorrow. So that's when, here it is, I brought it up. A bishop and his little servo skull building a snow space marine. So we can post it tomorrow.
And the bolter is in the snow rusting where it belongs.
Yeah, where it belongs. But yeah, so that's what I've been spending my time on. I've been drawing other holiday cards as well, mostly themed around birds. I guess if you're interested in seeing any of them, I have on my own personal Instagram account called The Killing Cold. You can find all the stuff there. I guess I could.
It's cold around Christmas time, which is the only time you draw stuff for it.
That's pretty much true. Yeah, here it is, The Killing Cold. This is the Instagram account. Yeah, pretty much. It really only gets activity the last month and a half of the year, and then every few days I post whichever card I've been working on. And probably I've also posted a few cards that I drew in previous years that I never posted on Instagram. One of my favorites, which I think I talked about this last stream as well, but I'll do it again. So I had a little card of a frog dressed up as a colonial space marine from the Aliens franchise, and he's building a little snow xenomorph, which I thought was cute. Yeah,
Such a
even as his
friendly-
little pulse rifle, he's ready.
Mhm. He is ready.
But yeah, so that's what I've been working on. But yeah, if you scroll through the entire thing, I have, I think, one post of models, and that was just because I was nominated for something to show that sometime this year there was a hashtag best 5, which lots of people were going around and doing, and I actually did that. Everything else are just.
Lego. There's a post.
There's
with
one
Lego.
post of some of the Lego bounty hunters. Zuckus is not there. He wasn't at the time. At the time, Zuckus didn't exist as a minifigure. He does now, though.
Do you have them? Did you buy the slave one?
We do
or wherever
have.
he
I
came
do
with?
have the smaller slave one that he came in. Greg and Eric actually bought it for me for Christmas,
Oh, fun.
so I have it, but it's not opened.
Because that's even more fun.
Yeah, just keeping it in the box. That's what I really like. And I guess the first picture I ever posted was of a sunset in San Diego when I used to be there with a little sailboat. But yeah, so if you're interested in sort of festive and cute holiday images, you can follow that. That's pretty much all you'll ever get.
Yeah, I mean, there's Star Wars related snowmen.
Yeah, just about every year, there's at least one card where there's a Star Wars themed snowman or snow person.
I see Mando there. Why does he have his helmet on? He doesn't usually wear that.
Well, so that's true. I should draw another one where he's not wearing his helmet.
Oh,
I
you
get it,
guys.
it looks
there.
like this was before his armor was all Beskar and such. So at this point, he still wore it.
Yeah.
So the continuity is still maintained. Hey, Dave, nice to have you here.
Yeah, good to have you.
Hey, I
Oh.
usually can't say that I did anything, but I recently wrote a post for my music blog that I haven't updated until today, that I haven't updated in 6 years. So that's something
yeah.
that I did.
It's been a while. Fine Enough, I suppose, the name of the blog. Fine Enough, I
Yep.
suppose.com.
Yeah, I paid for the domain.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw that. I
Yeah.
noticed.
But
Yeah,
I
I
did
even
that.
read it.
I paid for the domain like 3 months ago, thinking that I was gonna start writing stuff, and then I didn't.
But you
But
did.
so
But now
I
you
wrote,
did, yeah.
yeah, I wrote a post about the singer-songwriter Micah Schnabel. So I first came about him from a band of his called Two Cow Garage from Ohio. They started out as kind of a country rock band, but now I would just say are just a rock band. And Micah writes great songs. He released an album in December of last year called The Teenage Years of the 21st Century. And that's what I'm writing about. I wanted to write this particular article last year, right after the album was released. But then, of course, I didn't. It's here now. And if you like music, consider reading it.
And listening to the album.
Yes. I
And
have
if you
another
like
post
cute
written.
Stegosaurus and cute dinosaurs playing instruments, there's at least one on the blog.
I already have another post written.
That's
Oh,
impressive.
Damn.
Starting this in a big way. Next year is going to be big.
But you see, that's the
2021
thing.
big.
I have 2 posts written. Does that mean that there'll be no more? Hopefully not, but
Yeah, wait.
maybe.
Let's wait. We'll have to wait and see.
One of
Yeah.
my goals for this year was to write one post each month. I
Oh my God.
obviously failed. But
Yeah, didn't quite make that, but better late than never.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
thanks for reading it, Brad.
Yeah, it's a good read.
I have still been avoiding doing any real hobby related things.
That's
'cause
not
I-
entirely true. You
But-
started working on a Gundam kit, right?
yeah, to start to get back into the swing of things, I started to assemble this one like 40th anniversary Gundam kit of the RX-78, the Beyond Global version.
The RX-78, that's like the classic Gundam, correct?
Yeah, like the first Gundam.
Universal Century.
Yeah. This is
Actually, come to think of it, is it the 40th anniversary of? I mean, because Gundam's been
Gunpla.
around
It's the 40th
since
anniversary.
1979. Yeah, I guess that's 40. Or just a
That's
I guess
crazy.
Gunpla started.
It's the 20th anniversary of Gunpla, I think. It looks like in 1980 the first Gunpla model of this was produced.
Well, yeah. So my remembrance was that the show, when it was originally released in '79, wasn't super popular, but
Mhm.
the model kits became popular, and that's what kept it going. And I mean, now Gundam is a pretty big thing.
Yeah. That's
But
cool.
yeah, there's in the instruction manual here, there's a little timeline of when the various models kits of it were released. In 2010, I think the first real grade Gundam kit was made of it.
Well, I guess also related to that, I got a Gundam model kit as well that I don't know if I'll ever assemble, but it's a master grade, a new redesigned master grade of the one Wing Gundam Zero from Endless Waltz. Yeah, it's
Brings
here.
me back. Good times. Yeah, you should try to assemble it.
It's huge. Or the box is huge. Apparently it's a nice kit.
You'll never know.
Yeah.
So it's the kit is a Ver-Ka, like version. I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but there's some particular artist that likes doing slight redesigns of mobile suits. And
Mhm.
about one time a year, he does a slight revamp redesign of a particular iconic mobile suit from the Gundam franchise, and then they make a model kit of it. And so that this year he happened to do the Wing Gundam from the movie Endless Waltz.
I remember when it was announced earlier in the year, a lot of people were pretty upset that they were making another one of it, because I guess over the years it's had a lot of model kits made of it. But I think the original this is like a master grade version of the kit. The original master grade was probably released like
6 months ago. No,
over 10 to 12 years ago, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, so well, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, otherwise, I've been experimenting with photography a little bit. Got a nicer, like digital, like mirrorless camera. So maybe in the future we'll have some nicer photos. Or not.
Eric's gonna start his own photography Instagram where he posts pictures of Starbucks cups and such.
Like Hideo Kojima?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, the first picture can be that Xenomorph Bulbasaur. You could bring that up, Adam.
Yeah, let me find it just a second. Look at that.
Whoa.
That's just about the cutest Bulbasaur I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And he's so festive too.
So where did he come from?
The internet.
Oh, okay.
There's an artist who's been making these little figures, redesigned figures of different Pokemon. Like they've made. I'll have to find. Greg, do you remember the name of the?
Xenochew.
Xenochew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a one of Pikachu first, Xenochew, and he's since designed ones of Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and or they've since designed one of Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Venus or
Charmander.
Charmander. Jesus,
That's what you're looking for.
yeah.
Have they
They're
released
super
any
creepy.
yet?
The other, like Charmander and Squirtle, haven't been released yet.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you have someone in your life that loves Pokemon, they might not love these.
I imagine most people probably. You'd have to like Alien.
But yeah, if you like Pokemon and you like Alien, you will maybe love these.
Yes.
People are typing in
Charmander.
Xenochew Squirtle. They want to see it. This is Xenochew Etsy.
That's
Somebody
not
made a
it.
snow globe. That's not cool.
I don't know. I'm trying to.
Also, Brad, how do you feel about Funko Pop figures?
I don't really like them.
Yeah. I don't either, but I was listening to a podcast about Gunpla called The Cutting Mat, and one of the main people from it, named Joel, was talking about how the Funko Pop figures basically destroyed the custom toy industry. I mean, maybe not destroyed, but so there are lots of people, like artists, that will make their own like vinyl figures and whatnot. And then Funko came in and make all of their outrageously cheap Funko Pop figures. And I mean, I'm not too knowledgeable about that custom vinyl figure scene, but I could imagine that people, unless you're really into that, probably don't care about the more expensive custom figures when you can get a Funko Pop.
Yeah, that's a kind of an interesting claim because I imagine most people who buy pops would not
don't even know about.
Yeah.
I mean, well, so these little Xenochew figures, like it's xenochew.com. I finally found their website. But they're all sold out. I mean, well, but we can at least look at this. Isn't this the cutest Pikachu you've ever seen? I mean, look at that.
He's adorable.
Yep.
Totes adorbs. I mean, look at that tail. Lovable. Lovable.
Yeah. Not yet. It's cool. But yeah, I also listen to episode of the cutting mat, and it was kind of funny and interesting to hear about how like at the different conventions, like in the dealer rooms and such, and the instant they open up the convention, there's just a swarm of people rushing past anything and everything to get to the Funko Pop vendors.
Nah, or he was mainly saying that with a lot of those conventions, they open up the dealer hall and everybody rushes in,
Oh, I guess
rushes
you're right.
past
It's,
everything to get in
get to the,
line, their
to
lines
get
to
the
meet
signatures from whoever the
from
guests
their like
are.
the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who and shit.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I mean, I've been to a bunch of conventions and I can certainly see that being the case. Where like, oh, you want to get a signature from Stan Lee? Well, you're gonna have to stand in line for 4 hours, and maybe by the time you're ready to meet him, he'll take his break.
Yeah, it's interesting when we had gone to some conventions and stuff in the past. I feel it was before Funko came into the scene, so in a major way, anyway.
Yeah, so we didn't see the Funko Pop vendors in every dealer room.
Yeah, it's true.
But imagine if you were a serious collector and back in the day started collecting those Funko figures. What a burden you wanted to keep up with that because there are a ton.
Yeah, there's just so many. Like every franchise has like a pop now.
Yeah,
Well, I
and not
think
only
they're-
that, like they'll have this is the San Diego Comic Con exclusive pop. So like, whoa boy, there are a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that's not our deal.
Yeah, no, I mean I have the one Dark Angel one back here, but I don't plan to get more
Yeah.
unless there are more Space Marines.
No,
But
you don't
not
even
even
want
then.
that. No one wants that.
Because there already were more Space Marines and I didn't buy them.
Were there? I don't even remember
Well, yeah,
them.
there was like the Blood Angel one with the jetpack.
I thought you. Yeah, there were the original 4. I thought you meant there were additional ones to them.
I mean, there was the unpainted one, I think.
There was
Which
the
we have.
unpainted one. We don't speak of that.
Yeah, well.
Alright, so yeah, that's what we've been kind of working on and doing in the past week. I guess in terms of, since the year's kind of winding down, Games Workshop, they haven't really been too active. Like if you go and look at their community page, they have a whole bunch of things trying to help you buy gifts, which I think for your friends and such, and we kind of poked fun at that last week, and they're not any better now than they were then.
No. You can vote for your favorite model of the year, though, and it's still just a big list of all the models, so I feel it makes it hard for people to actually do a considered choice of this. So people are just going to primarily, I think, vote for the large showpiece models. Like, oh, Gazcall was released. I like that model. And
so when I went to the page on the community site talking about this, I didn't actually spend the time to vote, but I scrolled down and I saw this nice graphic going through the different months, and I thought, oh, that's really nice. I bet I can click on each month and it'll show me what was released that month. No, it doesn't do that.
yeah,
that would have been nice.
Because, I mean, I guess they were trying to give you a sense of what was released, like May, Mechanicus stuff was released.
Nothing was released.
Which month, Eric?
February, nothing was released.
Like, yeah, Tau, maybe. Like, I don't even know if these are accurate. January, I think, is correct because
they're accurate. But like, they released that character model, but I don't think they released other Tau.
Well, yeah. Well, that's kind of par for the course for Games Workshop over this past year. If it wasn't Space Marines, all the other races, if they got anything, it was a new character model in a new boxed set that had all old models except for the character models.
Not Necrons. Necrons got a lot, and I guess honestly, the May seems to be when the new Adeptus Titanicus stuff happened. So
Well,
the
well, is
horses and the
yeah, is that really true? Like looking at this pictograph that doesn't really show you that much information. Is it really true? The only two armies that there were like roughly 3 armies in Warhammer 40,000 that got models: Adeptus Titanicus, Space Marines, and Necrons. Is that really
the
it?
sisters. I mean, the sisters got
I guess, yeah, at the very beginning.
in the December prior. They had just the army box, and then they released kind of
So
the
I guess
multi-part.
where I'm sitting, Games Workshop has a really quick release schedule. They're always releasing new models. And I guess just thinking back on it, it sort of surprises me that you could sort of summarize the year with Necrons and Space Marines.
And the Lumineth.
Oh, but those were for Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, and we don't know if anyone cares about that.
Some
People do, and I mean, a lot of the models were pretty good. And then when you scroll down, you see the winners from previous years, and this sort of speaks to the point of
Chaos
things.
Prime Arch.
Yeah, the things that win are mostly large showpiece models that they probably actually had pictured on their model of the year vote post at the time. So whoever went on that, like, oh yeah, Magnus was released, he was awesome, and that's what they voted for. The only thing that was a little different was in 2018, the Noise Marine Guitar Space Marine one, which I sort of feel like that was
Questionable
weird.
if that's actually true.
yeah, it's pretty weird.
It's all rigged anyway.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
2019 was a bad one. That was pretty good. And then if you go to 2020 and vote now, it's kind of as shitty as it was last year, where they take you to SurveyMonkey, and then they literally just have a
Look at all
list
those
of
lists.
all the names of the stuff that's been released. And so it's really not helpful. You go and like, let's just
Yeah, stop somewhere and let's see if we know what they're talking about.
okay, we'll look at a few of them. So Lumineth, Realm Lords, Venari, Aurelian Wardens. No fucking idea what those are. I mean, they're the high elf something. Beastgrave, Hrothgorns, Man Trappers. I don't know what
Don't know
those
it.
are.
I mean, I'm
Adeptus
sure we
Titan.
would recognize them if we saw the images, but like,
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
even like the Space Marine bullshit, which there was a lot of Space Marine bullshit. You probably won't know. Like Blood Angels, the Angels Tears with Volkite Serpent. Like, what the fuck is that? Is that a Forge World
I have
something?
no idea what that
I
is.
think it's a Forge World thing.
The Angels Tier with grenade launchers. Yeah, what the fuck is that? I have no idea. Necromunda, the Eightfold Harvest Lord. Like, was
Yeah, I
that
don't know what
big
that
fat like
No, that was that special character that was part of that
the Goliath
the
stuff?
cult. No, well, no, the what do they call him? The flesh, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
the-
Well, yeah. Fucking no
primer?
idea.
He was a special character for him.
Yeah.
Forge World.
So I don't know. It really makes it hard when you go here and Necromunda, Sukrandor Primus. Like, I don't fucking know what that is. Like,
Yeah, so
Wait.
it just makes it a lot easier to you just kind of glance at the image they had and not think too hard on it and choose a thing.
Yeah, so what do we think? What do we think is going to win based on that? Like the Void Dragon, the Necron Void Dragon, it was released towards the end of the year, or like the Storm Lord or whatever. You think it's just going to be one of those models because it was released towards the end and people remember it and thought it was kind of cool, but no one bought it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe Gazkul Thraka, but wasn't a great model.
Yeah,
it
I mean,
was.
oh my gosh, goodness, Death Guard Space Marine Heroes Series 3. That's on here.
Great
Oh, and then
stuff.
even here, like they have Blackstone Fortress, Deadly Alliance, the Archivist. So that's the Blackstone Fortress Zote. Like, if you didn't actually buy and play this, like
you
wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know what that is. And
I don't know.
they're
I feel like the Zote has a chance. I feel like people would
I think
probably.
he's
Yeah.
good, but the fact
And
that
then
he
the
doesn't
other,
have
there's
a
another
model-
Blackstone Fortress release of the cool larger drones. Like those were really
Single
cool.
drone.
Like I don't even
I
remember
voted for the Guardian drones. I voted for them.
what
I
did
had
they
to look
call
up what
them in this.
Blackstone Fortress Guardian drones. It's towards the top.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I voted
fair.
too.
That's what I'm gonna vote for. I think we're gonna see
Hey,
it
shout
here.
Shout out to all the people in the YouTube chat. A bunch of you are saying stuff that I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
Finally a safe chat to simp in. So
That was
si-
banned on Twitch.
what was
recently.
banned in Twitch?
I think maybe using the term.
Simp.
Yeah. Just like
Okay.
incel and stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh,
thanks
here it
for
is.
being-
I've got Blackstone Fortress Ascension Guardian drones. I'm gonna vote for that too.
Brad, are you gonna vote for one of the cool
I had not planned on it.
Lord of the Rings thing?
Oh no, definitely not. I wish they would do less character models and
Yeah, that would be
more
nice.
units of that. No, I don't know like what I would vote for, honestly. Feels hard to
It
vote.
does. Just don't do it then. That's fine.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it. Didn't vote last year or the year before.
You could have swung the vote away from that Noise Marine.
I doubt it. I doubt we see any sort of metrics at all about.
Yeah,
No,
they
there
don't
will be
talk.
no metrics. It would be sort of interesting to see some of those, though, because I would imagine the votes are not close.
No.
And it would also be interesting to see like the total number of people voted, because I would sort of feel it's less than, it's probably sort of low.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else? I mean, they still keep doing their advent calendar stuff, but
Did anyone look at what
not-
was today? Oh my goodness.
I never look.
Was this year the year that they released the model of Saul?
I saw
Oh.
something saying that he's finally going up for pre-order like this weekend or something. So like you couldn't get him. That's not a good model.
no.
I mean, I
No,
guess I
it's-
can't sculpt, so like I should.
Oh yeah, he's available for pre-order on Christmas Day. So, well, rest assured, everyone, this model is not going to be winning Best of the Year.
No. It looks so bad.
Look at how his arm doesn't even look like it attaches to where his body would be. And how his legs are positioned, like, wow, that's really bad.
Yeah, it's
Looks like
bad.
he's yelling back to the boys that he's going to Subway to pick up some sandwiches.
He probably is doing that. So he has had rules, this model, he has had rules since 2012, it says in the post. Like, I don't know why they're even telling us that, because it doesn't paint a good picture.
You've been getting
Does it?
sandwiches for that long.
Oh yeah, he went out to
guy-
get sandwiches and got caught in the warp for how many
guys,
years?
I'm going out to buy a bunch of $6, $5 footlongs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel he probably had rules in the very first Horus Heresy Black Book
Yeah.
and has just been there ever since. Everyone
Wow, that's
decided-
surprising. I had assumed that model had already been released. Well, so what did they show on the admin calendar for the 22nd? Or, yeah, wait,
I don't
where
know.
even is it? Let's look at it. Okay. That's not... It's not too inspiring. What does everyone think this is?
I think it's a little bad guy for new vampire counts.
Or it's like a
Maybe.
Harpy or like a Fury or some shit for Warcry.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, how if they do vampire counts? How do you think they will change the vampire counts, Brad? What will be their new cool thing?
I mean, I feel like people like the pirate vampires, so I think they might actually just lean heavy into that.
I don't
Yeah,
even...
I've
What,
heard-
pirate vampires?
Yeah,
Who wouldn't want a pirate vampire?
everybody loves pirate vampires.
Anyway,
But yeah, no, I don't know. Like, it's hard. Like, they didn't really change too much with the high elves, right? Like, they kind of gave them.
that's true.
They made
Kind
their
of like-
helmets and shit even bigger.
Yeah,
That's the main thing that I would say they did.
Yeah, no,
Like-
you're right. They didn't do much. I mean, I guess even if they decide not to do much, they'll still make them more over the top in some way.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, I guess
That
one of...
remains.
And this is a little unrelated to that, but one of the more interesting things that was recently released on the Warhammer community site, they had an FAQ, the first FAQ, I believe, for Blitzball. Or, yeah. Or Blitzball. It's Blitzball, isn't it?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
Ball,
Blitzball.
Let's see if I can find it. Did people read over the FAQ?
I did.
I listened to the Crushes episode of the podcast that went through and talked about a lot of aspects of it because they were at least partially involved.
Oh wait, here it is, Blitzball. Yeah, so that's cool that they were involved. Yeah, so they have a little PDF of it. I read through some of it. The biggest thing that I saw immediately was they changed the wording on the Chaos Warrior blocker card, because previously it just had the words that the model couldn't be knocked down. So that kind of made the model very, very hard to interact with or like do anything to. And I think this was one of the models that people were pretty certain they were going to modify the rules slightly in the new edition or season 2, and then they didn't. And well, now they have finally modified it in the first like FAQ or errata, and they largely just changed it in the way that people had assumed they were going to change it from the beginning.
Yeah, just now if you have to make an armor save, the ball bounces. Is that basically it?
This player cannot be knocked down. If this player would be, and this player is carrying the ball bounces, then make an armor check for this player. If passed, there is no further effect. If it is failed, the player is injured. So they'll always drop the ball, even if they're not like injured.
One of the cool things that they clarified in like sort of the FAQ portion, the card Raw Talent, I think it's called Raw Talent, that
Yeah.
allows you to reroll a die. They
Yep.
had to clarify that you can only reroll your dice.
Play this card to reroll the dice from one of your rolls that uses a 6-sided dice that's funny.
Can you imagine someone like, well, how the rules are written, I
Yeah.
can reroll that save you made, or that, like, talk about negative player.
Yeah.
Like,
That's pretty
totally
feel bad.
against fun.
Did they have anything? Did anyone ask in it if you're able to hold more than one ball at a time?
I don't know.
Yeah, we had that problem come up.
Probably
Although they changed the rules for multiple balls.
we did.
Yeah. You have to have possession of all of them to make a new ball come into play. So I feel like it's a lot
That's
harder
better.
to get like 3 balls now.
Well, yeah, I remember
that-
the last game I played against you, Brad. There were always at least 2 or 3 on the pitch at one time, to the point where almost invariably one of them was just laying on the ground.
Yeah, it was bad, but
Blocking play was nerfed pretty tremendously.
Yeah,
but
what
it's
does it
still
say?
good.
Play this.
Now it's the same, that you kind of get a free mark action, but now it gets discarded if you knock someone down.
Oh, okay.
Or no, it's even just make or team scores a touchdown. Or knocks an opponent down. So now I feel a lot more akin to most of the other play cards, that you kind of get it for a turn or so, use it to get 1 or 2 good actions, and then it probably gets canceled. So it's not nearly as good, but it's still a good card. I feel though with blocking play, the other main like errata to a player was the War Dancer was nerfed, and now the War
yeah.
Dancer essentially just has blocking play, in that he can, when he moves, he can like essentially move into the tackle zone of another player. Like,
You can move
the
adjacent to opponents, but doing so ends the action.
So it's worded almost exactly like blocking play. So I mean, it's still good. Like, he's still good.
But the
I mean-
halflings dodge a bullet. No nerfs for them.
Yeah, they're not strong. They're not powerful enough.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
they
think
really
overall this is encouraging to see that they've already made a few subtle changes, but I feel overall probably pretty important and good changes, and also just answered some questions.
Well, and it's
So-
nice that they got in contact with people from the Crush podcast, because they're obviously very kind of passionate about the game and spend time on like the Board Game Geek forums, like message board section, and other places. Like, they play a lot of games and are sort of aware of what people think. And I think
Yeah.
that, I feel, is an ideal way to do some of this stuff. Like, they don't have to just do all the play testing in-house.
Well, yeah, and I
But it
guess sort of related to that, like the new edition of Blood Bowl that recently came out, like I think a lot of that, some of those changes and modifications were done by like talking with at least some of the Blood Bowl communities, I believe.
And like, the game has been basically unchanged for 20 plus years practically. So there's a lot of, people have played a lot of games and have opinions on stuff. So I feel they took that stuff into account and changed stuff, but not in like a major way, and just made it a little bit easier to play.
But everyone got
And then-
shittier at throwing in Blood Bowl. The Dark Elves
Yeah.
no longer have a passing game available to them. I don't know if any of that's actually true, but people were saying that.
Yeah. They probably like have like a base 4+ now instead of
Yeah,
like
that's
a 3,
true.
3+.
Like most of, like nearly all, it's a 4+, except for I think the runner is a 3+.
Not that they did like all the teams, because to
Yeah.
me, I feel like Games Workshop didn't really want to fix passing. They just wanted people to use the thrower models that they were making. So they made only the throwers good at throwing.
Yeah.
Well, I think to be good at throwing, you need the skills.
Yeah.
A lot of the different skills. And
And
so
I think they changed how that stuff works, so it might be easier to get them now.
Well, like I guess now you can, with star player points, if you store up enough, you can just choose the skills you get.
Yeah.
yes.
Some of that would help, but you can also, for less, you can just take a random one. So I feel there's more flexibility and control of what skills you get and whatnot, and I think that's cool. Like that's a nice addition to allow you take more control or not, depending on the player or the player type. Like the more choice in that, I think the better.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Were there any other major changes or interesting things in it?
To me, what stood out was blocking play and the chaos
The Chaos Blocker.
alignment change. And the fact that I didn't realize in season 1 you could throw to an empty space.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that, and I kind of wish you could now.
Yeah, you can't.
It's weird. A little weird.
And I
Yeah.
guess didn't they add a section to like kind of the turn sequences to maybe when you pick up cards to make it clearer as to how things work? Because some people would like, if you know the one card that allows you to claim it if you're like marked 3
Oh,
or
yes,
more
yeah.
opponents or something. Like the way it was worded, like you could kind of like stand up a dude or move a dude, mark him in to claim the card,
Mhm.
and then if there was a second one there after your next action, just like claim it again.
Yeah.
And now it's clear that how it's been worded and changed, such that like you actually have to trigger that again, like mark another person in. You can't just.
That's probably better.
Yeah, and another thing I thought was weird was that they said that, I guess, can you claim a card off of a free reserve action? And I'm like, how could you even do that? But they said you could. I don't know what card.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe like the one where you've got like 2 guys or something on like next to your end zone. Maybe you could do a free
Oh.
reserve.
Oh, and didn't another thing change that? When an extra ball comes into play, it's like before it was if you didn't score or didn't claim a card. Now I think it's if you didn't like score points. So if you pick up a challenge card that isn't worth any points, it
Oh.
wouldn't trigger. So it could matter at like the end game stuff where there's some of those challenge cards that so I don't know, all that stuff is just a little bit more clarification, just resulting in that I guess the rules are better and more clearly written.
Yeah.
I think they also clarified what a move is.
They did.
Finally.
What the first frequently asked questions The question is, what is a player's move? A player moves when they make a run, mark, or sidestep action. When a player moves, they are placed in a square adjacent to the one that they are in, following any restrictions required by the type of action they are making.
Yeah, so like every space you move, like when you take a run action and move 6 spaces, like that's 6 moves. Each adjacent space you move into is a move. So, and like I think in the first edition in particular, a bunch of the challenge cards and stuff were very nebulous in what they meant or you could do by they would be moving was in the language and it wasn't clear if like side steps would count or that sort of stuff. But I think in the second edition of the game, even without this clarification of move, I think a bunch of the cards were written more clearly that they specifically said whether it was like a side step or a run action. But
Yeah. How long until season 3?
Over a year, I'd say. I'm not confident. I'm not confident there will be a season 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what the first season 1? How long ago was that released? I have no
I
idea.
I don't know.
yeah,
It was probably a few years ago at least, right?
regardless, they'll still probably get content in some way or another as with just some of the other Blood Bowl teams.
Well, in the past, had they added some like cards for like Dark Elves and some of the other teams? Was there a way you could get those physically? Did they like come in White Dwarf or something?
The Dark Elves, I think, first came in a White Dwarf issue. Then for some of the other teams, like they did the Barnes and Noble thing where they had like quote unquote expansions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a packaging of a single sprue with cards for that team. So,
well, so I guess
do something like that.
I guess in the future they could, because there are still a few teams that a few like currently released plastic teams they don't have rules for in Blitz Bowl. So maybe they will add some of those. Though some of those teams are a little trickier because like the ogres and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's challenging rules wise too, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess related to White Dwarf, Brad, I know you were talking a little earlier with us about you still have a subscription to White Dwarf. Is that true?
I think so.
Or you did this year, I guess.
Yeah, I did this year.
Well, how did you find that subscription?
Very lacking.
In what sense was it lacking?
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to even say back to even like 2 years ago. I have not gotten a copy of the magazine delivered before it's in stores.
Okay.
You gotten it semi close to when it's
occasionally it's shown up like a few days or a week later, but it's generally a week or more, generally about 2 weeks.
Well, so yeah, it begs the question, like, why do you subscribe to it when you could just go to the store and get it?
Yeah, well, the subscription's nice now during COVID for sure. Not that I was really that smart, but like I didn't want to have to try to like chase down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so like I guess related to that, the past few streams we've talked a little bit about Games Workshop and their shipping, and mind you, we understand that now it's a little harder with the pandemic and stuff, so that's obviously going to cause some issues. But I guess to me it seems like, at least now with Games Workshop, if you pre-order something off of their website, even if it's one of the pre-orders that's like 2 weeks in advance of the release, what you can rely on is the models will be released that Saturday, and then at best, the following Monday, they might mail out your order. That is how they seem to be doing things. So, in many regards, if you really want something, you should probably talk to your local game shop or whatnot. Ask them if they're planning on getting any of the new releases and just having them put something aside for you, because then you might be able to get it closer to the actual release date. And we found out you can't really be, even if you go to a physical Games Workshop store and pre-order something through the store, they will still only mail out your pre-ordered item at best the Monday after the release of the models. So I pre-ordered the rulebook to Blood Bowl to the day that it went up for pre-order, so it was that one Saturday. And then when I went on Black Friday, or no, it was the Saturday after Black Friday, so a day after the release, I went to the store. They didn't have what I pre-ordered, and I think they finally shipped it out a few days into the next week. And one of the items that I had pre-ordered, they ran out of, and they couldn't send me. So
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
The version of Blitzball you finally got had one of the models was broken in it. That's quality.
Oh yeah, and then the game of Blood Bowl, when we finally got it about a week after it was released, one of the models, two of their fingers were broken off and missing. Which, I mean, stuff like that'll happen, but
they're sending him another one. It hasn't arrived yet.
Its fingers will also be broken.
Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. Probably another one of the models, something would be wrong. Well, so
didn't you also get that one Warcry warband and like the spears all messed up?
Okay, so we can transition into that. So I went to my one local hobby shop earlier this week to see if they had any of the Blood Bowl stuff, like the Dwarf or Skaven dice, or any of the new pitches that were sold out online immediately. And I was only able to get the dice for the Dwarf team. Everything else was gone. But I did find they had this like Dark Elf Warcry warband, which I had been interested in looking at the actual models in hopes that I could use maybe a few of them to convert on a range of different models, maybe even some other witch elves or like assassins for Blood Bowl itself. So I got them, and the models are nice, but they're noticeably smaller than the Blood Bowl elves. I think you could probably get, if you put them on the same bases and whatnot, they wouldn't look too out of place, but they're noticeably smaller. They are smaller. And
are they noticeably smaller than like other Warcry models? Or do they seem like in scale, but they're just like, you know, thinner?
That's a little harder to answer, Eric, because the Warcry models, they have a pretty wide range of scales. Like, I feel the unmade models, they're probably the smallest. And then if you compare them to the Corvus, or whatever they're called, the Crow ones, they're similar in they're both like more meek looking human models, but they're larger than the unmade models. And these models, I feel they're probably a little more in line with the unmade models. So they're pretty small. They're surprisingly well detailed. Like for the Blood Bowl models, which, as I said, are bigger. Like the hair on the Blood Bowl like elf models isn't very finely detailed. If any of you have assembled any of the models, it's not very finely detailed, which is fine. The models, these Shadow Stalkers, or whatever they're called, the detailing on their hair is much finer. And that's sort of true with just about everything on the models. But they're smaller. And the thing that I found was cool, I haven't looked too closely at the models, but I did notice that one of the spears that I was given is noticeably bent on the sprue. To the point where I would say it's pretty much ruined. And so based on how they were packaged in the box, this was most certain. It was like this when they put it in the box. It wasn't due to any transportation or anything like that. So
It's real nice.
I was happy about that.
They're already pretty thin, and I think a bunch of the Warcry models have like little spears and whatnot. And looking at those whips, like they would be so easy to break. And
no, yeah, that's sort of par for the course. A lot of the Warcry warbands are. Some of the parts are absurdly thin and fragile, so yeah, you will have to be really careful with almost everything. And like if you look at the leader model, has these little chains, these fine chains.
Yeah, they're
like I could see you, if you're not careful, just clipping them off the sprue. It'll just snap in the middle here.
Yeah.
But the models themselves are pretty nice. The box comes with two. Let's look at it. Just two separate sprues. Both are different. If you look through the instructions, there's actually a fair amount of variability and stuff you can do with the models. Like the leader model, who has this crazy like wand and cloak, you can actually make a variant model of that doesn't have all that crazy shit, which I was so sort of surprised of.
Who doesn't love particle effects?
I love them. No, and then
admittedly, I feel that this one looks better than a lot of.
Yeah. Well, so I was looking. We talked about how that one spear was ruined for that model. If you look at the model that holds that spear, you have the choice of having it holding two spears, or this whip that is bound to just like break immediately. So I guess this would be the model that I would just never assemble.
The choice is yours.
Yeah. Or probably more than likely, if I actually wanted to assemble and use the model, I would just change the weapons entirely.
Yeah.
You're not going to try to contact them about...
No, I don't think I care enough.
Then, I mean, they would just send probably another version of that sprue, and you wouldn't want that.
But you'd want the spear.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having a not ruined spear, but I mean, at this point, I guess we'll see. Maybe if I actually get the replacement of that orc sprue where the fingers are broken off, maybe here, but
I'll encourage you, like, yeah, they can do it. They can fix this.
It's interesting, like, some of these I think are they tried to be maybe a little too cool for school. Like if you choose to give the Dark Flame Warlocks the crossbows, they can have these repeater crossbows. For some reason they thought it would be cool to have them each holding 2 of the crossbows.
That is cool.
And I mean, overall, like the crossbows are relatively small in the scheme of stuff they make, stuff. But it doesn't look right for them holding 2 of them.
Did the old Dark Elf, some of the old Dark Elf models, maybe the Corsairs or something, didn't they have like a pair of repeater crossbows or something?
They did have repeater crossbows, but I don't remember if they had a pair or not. I have the model, so I can actually go and look.
Was it one of the old regiments of renown or whatever? The Dark Elf? One of those. I thought they had double.
Yeah, maybe it was that. Well, so I will also say some of these models, they have some pretty cool, like, hooded heads. So, like, for years, people, if you wanted a cool hooded head, you just go and use the Wood Elf, the plastic Wood Elf models. Use one of those heads. So I think some of these could be used for a similar thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these, some of the faces are a little... They have a little more detail than those older Wood Elf heads.
Look at the detail.
Look at all the detail. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, so overall the models look pretty nice. They even have one that has one model that has a spear, and they're holding the spear in 2 hands. They don't have 2 spears.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, which I thought was neat.
Well, so it seems like they're models that you could do something with or build some stuff with. And like you said, the hooded heads and such, I feel some of this stuff would actually be...
Yeah, so like overall the models are neat. The weapons that the models are holding are quite a bit smaller than I feel standard GW weapons, so that's neat. But I still think a lot of them are maybe a little larger than what I would like. So I think with a little modification, you could you'd probably go quite a long way with, at least in my taste, improving some of the models. And interestingly, the little like repeater crossbows that they have, they actually look pretty good. Like, you could probably use this to convert some different types of like pistols and stuff for like an Inquisitor or something. Like, I'm sure eventually we'll start seeing more of that. Their cloaks are really interesting though. They're almost made to look like maybe they're an elemental or like a shadow cloak. That like as they're moving, it's kind of distorting space around them. So it's kind of an interesting and neat effect that I sort of feel we'll start to see the little cloaks and stuff being used at various different places. So actually we can try and do like a vague comparison. It's not perfect, but here, like, you're comparing this witch elf with what's to be this witch elf over here. And so they're similar, it's just these ones are a little slighter, they're a little smaller. And in many regards, I feel that works a little better if you're wanting the models to be in scale with like Primaris Space Marines and other stuff like that. If you're trying to do conversions for Warhammer 40,000, these are like a little smaller and more human scaled. Their feet are also pretty small. Like, even if you compare the male and female models, oftentimes with Games Workshop, all of the male models, their feet are much, much larger than the female ones. Here, that's not really the case. So I think that's good. That's more how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're neat models. I'll have to force myself to do some form of conversion with them. Maybe a conversion corner. I guess the box set, they also come with all of like the rule cards and stuff if you are wanting to play Warcry.
Mm-hmm.
They also had I don't remember what the name of the other warband is, but the ones with all the chains and fire that are pretty neat. Those I feel will also start to pop up a lot in conversions. Probably a little more than these, but we'll see. I think some of these models might actually help if I kind of started trimming them and pulling the pieces out and fitting the different pieces together to kind of get more of a sense of the scale and how they work with other things. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about them. They're nice. And then I know you're asking, how do they compare to the Treeman?
Yeah, let's see the Tree Man. There he is.
They're pretty tiny compared to the Treeman. The Treeman, this was probably this was one of my favorite models of the year, actually, that they were released. He's really great. Look at that lovable face.
He's got a lot of character.
He does.
I like him a lot. He's like one of the best, I think, models in Blood Bowl too. So,
he's great. And if we compare him to like a Dark Elf Blitzer or something, Dark Elf Blitzer is pretty big.
mm-hmm.
But not so big that he couldn't be thrown by the tree. Actually. And then if we want to compare him to one of the little skink, like an actual stunty model in the game.
Look at that cute little fellow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so is there anything else?
Yeah, it might be a good time to wrap it up.
I feel it probably is. We talked about, I think, most of what we had planned. I guess I can tell people, go out, try and go to the Warhammer community page, vote for your favorite model they released of the year.
Worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what wins.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to vote.
Yeah, we want to know what we want your voice to be heard, Brad. It's important. Important.
Yeah. I mean, I guess other than that, happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, be well.
Happy holidays.
Yep, stay safe. It was nice chatting with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess with that, we'll talk to you again soon. Over and out.